tuned into the world's most dangerous show, The Recap with the Goodfellas. You know how we do every week around this time, man. Ain't nothing changed. It's your boy Tommy Guns alongside my man Shai Montana. Happy early birthday. What's going on?
Thank you, my brother. You know what I'm saying? You already know what it is. Malcolm X with the Percocets, you know what I mean?
Alright. The man, the myth, the legend, Big A, always holding it down. What up?
What's going on out there, everybody? It's your man, Big A, striking it up. What a letter, ginger. Yeah.
The voice of the streets himself, heritage hip-hop's own Karev, always representing for the culture. What up?
Peace and blessings, everybody. Welcome back to Recap with the Goodfellas. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, and remember, this show is great because of you. Salute.
And of course, shout out to the super producer himself, Sajan, aka Mayhem Media, behind the boards doing what he does. Special shout out to my man Dav Noble. He had to dip out real quick, doing Goodfellas things. You already know how that go. He will be back next episode. So with the introductions out the way, the bad guys is in the building. We talking that talk. Today, we are talking top sports movies of all time. We're about to give our list. Shout out to all my sports fans out there. Shout out to all my movie fans out there. So it's only right that we combine the two and give you our top sports flicks ever. So that being said, shout out to my man Shai Montana. He actually brought this topic up, so it's only right that he gives his list. My dude, Shai Montana. Top 5 sports movies of all time. What you got?
All right, so I'm gonna start with a movie that's not that known. It's an old ass movie. It's called The Natural with Robert Redford. It's a pretty good movie, like one thing I noticed with baseball movies is they real passionate about it, you know what I mean? So, it's a good movie. One of them is probably one that we all watch by now, which is Rudy. One of the most inspirational movies of all time. This dude ain't quit. Like this movie not just about football. This movie about like not quitting, doing whatever you got to do to make your dreams come true, even though you seem pathetic to people sometimes. That's what that movie about.
Is this? I don't mean to interrupt. Is this in any particular order, or are you just throwing your top movies out there?
Ain't no order. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just whatever. Another one is another one that's not that known. It's called Moneyball.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh yeah.
That's a good movie.
Yeah, I do know that movie.
That's a good movie.
Yeah.
That's a good movie. Yeah.
That's the story of the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
With Brad Pitt.
So it's like, so it's like, it shows you a whole nother thing, because baseball, even though I'm not a big fan of baseball, but they don't have a salary cap. So the richest teams get the best players. So they like the movie goes into how like you could build a championship team without paying all that money. You can get players that have certain key abilities that could create a team that could perform better than the team that's got all the superstars.
Yeah, that was actually, it also showed how they began to use analytics in sports. Before that, it was just throw a couple mil out there and hopefully you get the best players. What the A's did, and I love how they told that story, they used like a professor, I don't know, from Harvard, Princeton, one of them, like some geek cat who was like good at analytics, and he let them know through, crunching the numbers who they should get that was not only good, but was, on the cheap. And, that's actually a dope story, because before that, like I said, we Yankees fans, and Yankees just throw millions of dollars. Like, hopefully one of y'all good. So they changed the game with that.
Oh yeah. So I have forgot my other movie, so I'm gonna just throw out Hoosiers. I just recently seen it for the first time.
Oh shit, okay.
An old ass movie, Gene Hackman. That's really a great movie. It's really inspirational. Small time basketball team. Had a great player. The player didn't want to play for the team. Whatever. Inspirational movies. That's what a lot of sports movies. If you notice, like that's what they do. Like, you know what? I forgot to say Rocky, so I'm gonna eat that. I know one of y'all gotta use it. I should have said it, but whatever. I know one of y'all got that. So the last one, but not least, is really a series of movies. The Major League franchise. That shit funny.
Yeah, Major League is
okay.
classic. That's classic. Yo, that's a classic.
Yeah. Major League. A lot of people don't know that there was a part 3 to it, where they in the minors, and that one's funny too. It's got the same. Matter of fact, damn, I could also said Necessary Roughness. Yo. Anyway, let me stop. I know y'all got some of these movies.
Come on, Shai.
That's my list, like the Major League franchise and the other ones that I said.
Okay, that's a dope list. Shout out to my man Shai Montana with the ill sports movies list. So, Big A, my man, let me throw the question your way.
What's up?
What are your top sports movies of all time?
Wow. Now I have sports movies for reasons and effectiveness and off. Excuse me, I've been drinking vodka and Canada Dry bold. Canada Dry, it's bold.
That's a different type of sport right there.
I want to say one of my first favorite sports movies of all times was Rocky IV. And that's actually an honorable mention because we already talked about Rocky, but Rocky IV specifically with Apollo Creed and Ivan Drago and like the whole montage in a mountain, like that made me want to be a boxer. Like I wanted to knock somebody the fuck out. Like I wanted to be Rocky. I didn't want to be Apollo because I didn't want to die in the ring, but I wanted to be Rocky. I wanted to be Rocky. I wanted to knock somebody the fuck out. I wanted to knock somebody the fuck out. Like I wanted to run up the mountain. I wanted to grow a beard. I wanted to be have all the muscles. I wanted to be like, I wanted to go crazy. So
you know what though?
That was an honorable mention.
I'm gonna add to your point about that movie. Is that it kind of played into what was going on in the country at that time.
It was, exactly.
With the Cold War.
The stereotypes of the Cold War, how you had the underlining of the undertones of how Americans felt about Russia and how Russia felt about America at that time. And then it also dealt with politics. You know, it was a lot of propaganda going in that movie, but that's why I said it was an honorable mention. It was an honorable mention. Now, one of my favorite all-time movies of sports movies was The Program. Bruh, that showed you what college football was all about. I have friends that played in college football. I used to train with college football players. They tried to recruit me, and I seen a lot of that stuff that you seen in that movie. I seen in high school. Okay, a lot of that crazy stuff with like Latimer and the other brother. Like, yo, it was a lot of crazy stuff in high school and in college football that I personally seen. So The Program was one of my favorite movies. And Any Given Sunday, another hardcore movie. I have a couple of people that I know that actually played in the NFL, and the stories that I heard from the locker rooms and just stuff that you would hear, like you only hear certain inside stuff from inside people that actually played a professional sport. And I tell you, Any Given Sunday gave you the eye full of all the madness that goes behind being a professional football player. Another movie. Now, you might look at me crazy when I say this, but was Space Jam, because you cross-platform promoted Michael Jordan, who was Air Jordan at the time, and then you have children that watch cartoons of their favorite cartoon characters that cross-promoted and made a spectacular movie. Then you had an amazing soundtrack that was behind it, that juggernauted that movie. So I gave that, I put that on my list because, you know, to this day, that's one of the best cartoon movies that was cross-platform promoted. Another prolific movie was Cool Runnings. Cool Runnings being based on the real story of Jamaican bobsled team that went through the struggles of each individual, bringing you the backstory and then bringing them all together. Shout out to John Candy. That was a great actor that, you know, he brought that. He was a part of the spearhead of bringing that movie to life because he read that story. And that story right there, man, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. The first Jamaican bobsled team, the real story behind I love real stories. You know, it's motivational, it's inspirational, and it definitely gives you something to learn from and to look forward to. So that was one of my favorite ones. Another athletic movie that I actually liked was Over the Top, because technically arm wrestling is a sport.
With Sylvester Stallone.
Yes, Over the Top.
Oh shit!
So Over the Top is
Yeah, I'm about to write that shit down.
Yeah, Over the Top was a story about a father. It was basically a father and his son.
And he had a truck, right?
He had a truck. Yeah, he was a trucker. Yeah. Over the Top, because arm wrestling is technically a sport. So that was one, and I'm trying to think of the other one. It was a wrestling one with Hulk Hogan.
And Zeus?
The Zeus, yes.
No holds barred.
No holds barred, thank you. No holds barred. That was one of I love that movie because it was wrestling is a sport, okay? I don't care what Karev says. Wrestling is a sport. One of my favorite lines is, "What's that smell? Dookie." That's one of my favorite movies.
Shout out to Zeus, Who actually had like his wrestling career started right after that movie.
Shout out to Tiny Lister. Was the third? I think it's a junior.
Rest in peace, Anthony Johnson, bro. He just passed away this week.
Yeah, from Friday, man. Hulk Hogan, brother. Racist Hulk Hogan, brother, not a nigger, but Hulk Hogan. But yeah, man, you gotta love it, You gotta love it. It was just one of those. It was almost like a cartoon, a live cartoon movie. It was one of those. That's one of my favorites. So No Holds Barred. So that's my pick.
Shout out to my man Big A. Just had the fire sports movies list. Karev of Heritage Hip Hop.
Peace.
Question your way. What are your top sports movies of all time?
Before I get started, this guy says he likes No Holds Barred, but he's like Coco Beware. I don't know what the hell is wrong with Big A. But anyway, I'm not a movie person, so my movie picks are going to be a little different on purpose because I figured everybody would pick the same movie. Shout out to the greatest sports movie series of all time, Rocky, because the best character in Rocky never got enough love, and that's Clubber Lang. Shout out to Mr. T. He was my favorite character in all the Rockies, period. You know what I'm saying?
Pain.
But
people read Mr. T because all the chains and shit.
Hey, salute.
People literally always bring up his name around me.
Because he's the icon. Salute to the real boxing legend and wrestling icon, Mr. T. Lawrence Theroux. Salute. So, besides Rocky, which is the obvious, I wanted to go a different route with my favorite sports movies because I wanted to pick things that are more off the cuff, that are good movies that anybody can watch. So my first pick is anything 30 for 30, ESPN. The Jordan movie was great. The Miracle in '84 with the hockey team, great. And it was another one they had about Bo Jackson and Ric Flair, superb. Those were some of the best 30 for 30s I've seen. So I like documentaries and stuff. So learning about real people always is more fascinating for me than fantasy, So Remember the Titans is going to be one of my favorite movies as well. You know what I'm saying? I also like A League of Their Own, like the women's professional baseball.
With Madonna.
With Madonna. That's one of my favorite sports movies of all time. Because growing up, I was really big into baseball. Salute to the Yankees. You know what I'm saying? And I actually studied, baseball. And I remember when the North Eagles had a team, they had women there as well. You know what I'm saying? So that was something very historic. There's a part in the movie when the girls like throw the ball, and it's a woman of color that throws the ball, and she throws with ferocity, and she catches the ball barehanded, like, yo, you could throw. You know what I'm saying? And that was kind of a shout out to the women of color who was around the Negro Leagues at that time. So that was like really big for me. Another movie I like.
What was that, yo?
A League of Their Own with Madonna and Gina. Whatever her name is, I don't know. Tom Hanks was in there also.
Yeah, Gina Davis. My bad. Okay.
Yeah, motherfucker. Yeah, Beetlejuice. Another movie I really, really enjoyed is Bloodsport. That's one of my favorite sports movies of all time because mixed martial arts movies have been around forever. One of my favorites, if you want to go MMA and mixed martial arts, we can go all the way to Enter the Dragon is one of my favorite sports movies of all time. Because martial arts tournaments are something that's been throughout history since the dawn of every era. You know what I'm saying? So those are some of my favorites. But my number one favorite sports movie that nobody talks about, that to me is one of the greatest movies of all time, shout out to everybody's list, is Raging Bull. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. The Jake LaMotta story. And if you're anybody who's seen that movie, the last scene where Jake LaMotta has the fight with Sugar Ray Robinson, and historically this is proven true, and they actually have footage of it, which is grainy, but he dropped his hands and Sugar Ray's just knocking him the hell out, but he wouldn't fall. And he kept saying, Ray, I didn't fall. Ray, I didn't fall. That was documented history. That's one of the best movies I've ever seen about perseverance against the odds of the time. I also have two other movies I like to throw out for special acknowledgement. Ali with Will Smith. That's one of my favorite. And The Hurricane with Denzel Washington. I'm a boxing fan and I'm a football fan, so everybody else said the program and Any Given Sunday, and that was a given. You know what I'm saying? Salute, God, I like football, but I really think when we talk about sports movies, we missed the martial arts in the boxing part and the documentaries part. So that's my list.
That's what's up, man. Salute. Yo, that's a dope list right there. Shout out to my man Karev. Yo, we actually have a special guest. My man Shai Montana. Bella Rose is in the building. And she has a pick for one of her favorite sports movies, I believe.
It wasn't really like a sports movie, but I think it was. It was What Happened to the Mighty Ducks.
Mighty Ducks, okay. All right. With, what's it, Emilio Estevez?
Yeah.
Jussie
Smollett was in that shit.
The guy, the main character, was it?
Emilio Estevez.
Emilio Estevez.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He was cool.
That's what's up, man. Yo, shout out to the Mighty Ducks for all my hockey fans out there.
I just thought about it. Just keep in mind.
Okay. Are you a hockey fan, or you just thought the movie was dope?
I was a kid when I watched it, but
okay, that's okay. I don't think there's actually any real hockey fan. I don't know. I feel like hockey fans are like imaginary. I've never actually met it. But they gotta be out there somewhere.
But not for nothing, but hockey is like a brutal sport.
Yeah.
Because they be rumbling.
Yo, that's one of the only sports that I can think of where they allow you to bang out. Like, all right, cool, you guys want to fight? All right, you got 5 minutes. Like,
I know. That's why they be missing their teeth.
Word. That's what's up. Well, yo, shout out to you with the dope pick. We appreciate it.
Hey.
Yo, it's your boy Tommy Gunn. Shout to everybody tuned in right now. We are talking top sports movies of all time. So, number 5, Happy Gilmore. Now, I know this is not a typical sports movie. It's actually more of a comedy, and it's golf, and that's barely a sport, but
it ain't a sport.
I love that movie. Yo, growing up, that was one of the funniest movies I had seen at the time. Nice. And I had no idea, that golf was even like a competitive sport. I thought it was just something my grandma would put on when I was a kid and put me to sleep. But yo, Happy Gilmore was my shit. And he actually made it look kind of cool. For golf, Happy Gilmore actually made it look a little lit. So, you know what I mean? At certain points, I was like, yo, I can see that. You know what I mean? So, shout out to Happy Gilmore, one of the funniest sports movies that I can remember. Number 4, Love and Basketball. Like I said, I'm doing it a little bit different. I didn't want to go a straight up sports movie. That was sports, but that was also a little bit on the romance side. Sanaa Lathan was just bad as hell. To this day, I think she actually turned 50 the other day. One of the baddest chicks in the game to this day. And I just loved how it was like a period. Like, although it was like a romance, it was like a period piece. So it was like the 80s. They had the 80s music going, like the 80s hip hop and R&B. That was fly. The whole basketball shit. It even showed you about like them playing overseas. I thought that was dope. Loving basketball. Number 3, The Wrestler. Gotta show some love to wrestling. Yeah. Mickey Rourke did a phenomenal job of playing a wrestler. And what was dope about that movie, besides the fact that it was well acted, is like it showed you real life.
Yeah.
It showed you, you know, because when you think of WWE and WCW and all that, you know, you think like the pyrotechnics and the glitz and the glamour and the catchphrases, but that showed you the other side of the game and how shit was real and shit was depressing. It just showed you like a dude at the end of his career and the shit he had to do. And I thought it was an amazing job as far as the acting. So, you know, salute to the wrestler. Number 2, and I mean, come on, I know we put this out there, but Any Given Sunday, one of the best sports movies, period. Yo, the way they depicted football, yo, it just shows you the behind the scenes and what really was going on. Yo, amazing movie, amazing acting, and it was like some real life shit. Shout out to Bella Rose in the background. You know what I mean? You know. Yo, so my number 1, it's that time. My number 1 pick, top sports movies of all time. I gotta go with Ali. That is one of my personal favorite movies of all time. Will Smith did a phenomenal job of acting. Like, to me, after that movie, like a year later, I almost think that Muhammad Ali looks like Will Smith now. That's how good of a job that he did. Yo, I love how they not only showed him, like, I love how they filmed the actual boxing and the cinematography of it, but it showed you Malcolm X, it showed you the government, it showed you all the different aspects of Muhammad Ali's life that went along with the boxing. You know, it's like we knew the story, but Will Smith did a good job of just showing you everything from the revolutionary aspect, the boxing aspect, his life. It was an amazing movie. If you haven't seen Ali, yo, I don't know what's wrong with you. You need to get that ASAP. Ali, one of my personal favorite movies of all time, and my top sports movie of all time. Yo, what's the movie where Andre 3000 was in it? And then the basketball team?
Semi-pro.
Semi-pro.
You gotta practice it. That, yo. Like,
Semi-pro.
One of the funniest movies ever. Yo, shout out to that movie right there. You haven't seen Semi-Pro, you're slacking.
Word.
So shout out to everybody tuning in right now. This is the Recap with the GoodFellaz Show. We just gave you our top sports movie picks of all time. And yo, real quick, shout out to the homie Bella Rose. Yo, you got any shout outs real quick? Now's your time. What's good? No, you got any shout outs? What's going on? Shout out whatever. Huh?
Hey, husband, Tone Win. Hopefully his name, you know, travels the world. We went viral on the internet. I don't know if you ever heard of No Gun Zone. And Unsolved Murders Philly is on Instagram. Google, look them up on IG. No Gun Zone and Unsolved Murders. That's all I got. I can't shout nothing else out except him.
Shout out to my man, Shout Murder. Shout out to Preach the Prophet, the Preach the Goon. Hey, man, happy early birthday from me and the rest of the GoodFellaz, brother.
Thank you all.
Yeah. We are the bad guys. Until next week, you already know how we do.
Philly in the building.